It is the middle of the summer here in July, but at the same time, we've got college athletics on the mind, and we welcome you to Doc's Smokehouse, located at 1420 Calumet Avenue in Dyer, Indiana. And we are live here today for the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. I'm Sam Michael, and we'll be joined by a number of Valpo coaches, Valpo University coaches, talking about Beacon Athletics and all the good stuff that's going on here. Not far down the road on Route 30. Going to be about 15, 16 miles. Coach, right down the road, huh?
Yeah,
nice, easy trip for you? Yep.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing? This is Roger Powell. He is a new men's basketball coach, and we met, has it already been about a month or so or more?
Yeah, a little bit more than that.
Since you
like
got introduced?
It's crazy.
2 months?
It's going so fast.
That can't even be the case.
Yeah.
So how have you handled the summer so far? Your first summer being back here, and as we said, a lot of time as an assistant now at Gonzaga, and a lot of winning in those programs, and you're trying to bring that here to Valpo.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Just the welcoming has been amazing. It's interesting to take over a program, but you lived there before. You were a part of it. It's where I started. So for me, it's just it's home. And just some of the restaurants. We were talking with, some of the coaches, like, where do you take recruits for, official visits? And a lot of those same restaurants we're using. And that's been cool, And last week, a couple of my former players came, Alec Peters, Levante Doherty, two guys that had great careers here at Valpo when I was an assistant. All that, it just made this homecoming special. And it's birthed something inside of me to really, really want to get Valpo to a next level. And it's been cool. It's going really fast, though, because we've been grinding and working, had a lot of players to sign. So that was a lot of work, in the first month.
No doubt about it. So where are the spots? Where do you take those guys? Where are some of the places to go in Valpo where you're like, hey, this is, the university's special, and, we're going to play some good basketball, but whenever you're hungry and want something to eat, what's a good spot?
I love burgers, and we've used the Burger House. That's been a place that we've used. A new place right downtown is this place called Peddlers, and it has great pizza and wings. So, there's so many. It's you come to Valpo and you think to yourself, man, really? Like, there's in a city like this with a strip with, like, outdoor seating restaurants. And, last night they had, a movie in the park. It's literally amazing every night, especially in the summer. So, it's definitely a place that you can show recruits and their families a good time, especially some of these kids that are from Northwest Indiana and Chicago. When they come and they spend time in Valpo, they're like, wow, we didn't know it was this amazing here.
As we talked about a couple months ago when you got introduced, the way the NIL and the transfer portal has changed, normally you think about a rebuild, you're going to have to bring in high school guys, and you're talking 3, maybe even 4 years before it's realistic to have higher expectations. But now there's guys readily available. You only have 3 returners coming back from last year's roster, so you've been a busy man. Tell us a bit about the guys that you're excited about coming in.
I'm excited about everybody. We've been able to, I think, put together a nice young class. I got 2 kids from the transfer portal, which is awesome. But, you can't build a program like that, and that's not how I want to build it. My third year here, we had 5 freshmen. And I don't even know if Valpo has had a class with that many freshmen since then. And they struggled, their first year. We barely 500. But then that next year, that squad ended up going to the NCAA tournament because those young guys gelled together and they built chemistry. And that's kind of what I've tried to do with this roster in the short time that I had. We got a kid from a JUCO, Isaiah Stafford. He's from Bolingbrook, Illinois. Won a JUCO championship at John Logan. And then, we went out and we got a kid from, Murray State that transferred here. Jackson, he was a Indiana All-Star. It's been 6 years since we were able to get an Indiana All-Star. So, really trying to focus on bringing some nice young talent from this area, Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, Indianapolis, and start to build a culture of guys that these fans are going to fall in love with, guys that, the Valparaiso, city, they're going to know some of these names. And, you think about some of the guys from the past, Alec Peters and Levante Doherty, man, these are guys that were from the area, right? So that's what I'm trying to get going here. I'm trying to build that and, trying to get some guys that when they wear, Valpo across their chest, it means something to them. And that's what we're trying to do.
There's a lot of attention always paid, high school world, to kind of the coast areas, right? The kids from California and Texas and Florida get a lot of publicity. But we just had in MLB draft Max Clark. He's an Indiana product. He got drafted, I think, 2nd or 3rd overall in the MLB draft. Baseball has not always been Indiana sport, but basketball is. So when you think about that, that's kind of the go-to for a lot of coaches is we have to recruit better in Indiana. If I'm coaching at a university in Indiana, we have to do well in this state. Why is it so important?
We do, and I think it's important because, I mean, Indiana basketball is big. I mean, you think of some of the Hoosiers, I mean, for crying out loud. You know, just the history of, you know, hooping in Indiana. I mean, that's what we're known for. And that matters to me. Now, with that being said, you know, not only is Indiana known for hoops, I mean, I'm from Joliet. And when you turn outside of Valparaiso University, there's a sign that says Joliet, Illinois, 50 miles away. So I grew up in Illinois, and the only reason I would go, you know, across the border to Indiana was get fireworks on 4th of July. Right. Don't tell anybody that. But this whole area, this whole region is just talent. It's full of talent. I mean, you got Gary, Indiana, a kid that we recruited from Gary, and Gary at Vanderbilt was Darius Garland. I mean, there are some studs in this area because basketball is important. And, you know, so, you know, that excites me. And just where the university is going and how I believe we're going to continue to grow with the city of Valparaiso. I think we're going to be able to pull some of those kids here, and they're going to take pride in playing for Valpo. And one of the things for me that was important was getting someone on my staff that had name recognition in Indiana. And I think hiring A.J. Moye, who was an Indiana Hoosier great, played in national championship game for them. I mean, he's a fan favorite. I mean, it's hilarious. I walk around Valpo, and people are like, hey, man, I heard you hired A.J. Moye. I was like, yeah, he's my assistant. That's awesome. I was like, well, I'm the head coach. But no one cares because he's from Indiana. He played for the Hoosiers. So that's been great for me, and I think he's going to do a good job of helping us, you know, really attack the state of Indiana.
Yeah, he played in the 02 championship against Maryland, and he was one of those guys, right, undersized, but he was a beast inside on the glass. He's one of those beloved blue-collar dudes for sure at Indiana. I know you think about your staff, too, as you mentioned, just one of the names, but you had to bring a bunch of guys with you, obviously, so tell us a bit about the rest of it.
So, hey, I'll tell you a funny story before I get to the rest of the guys. So the last time A.J. Moore and I played against each other, he gave me a concussion. We were playing against each other in the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis, and I dove for a loose ball, but I think he dove for my head. And, like, you know, I always give him a hard time. I said, you gave me a concussion, I hired you, man, so I need some of that grit with our players. And but he's been awesome. He's going to be an awesome addition. The other guys that I hired from an assistant coaching standpoint is Pat Baldwin. Pat Baldwin was, you know, played at Northwestern, was actually defensive player of the year, you know, when he played there. And he was on that staff at Northwestern that made the NCAA tournament for the first time in the history of the program. And we actually played him when I was at Vanderbilt with Bryce, and they beat us, you know, in on last second, you know, shot. And he's been great. His son plays in the NBA. He developed his son, and he was a head coach at the University of Milwaukee. So he gives us some experience that I needed, you know, being a first-time head coach. And then the other guy that I hired, his nickname is Flash. He has one of the best nicknames I know. But his name is Matt Gordon. He was on the staff with Porter Moser at Loyola. And when Loyola was in the Horizon League, they were kind of like at the bottom. You know, it was one of those games when I was with Bryce here and we played Loyola, we were like, okay, we're probably going to get a win. They left from the Horizon League and went to the Missouri Valley. And it took them a couple years. And then before you know it, Loyola's winning the Missouri Valley 3 out of 4 years. They're in the Final Four. And Matt was actually on staff. He was, you know, Porter Moser's right-hand man. So, you know, to be able to hire a guy like that on our staff at Valparaiso University, a guy that has done exactly what we want to do here, is awesome. You know, so I'm extremely thankful, you know, for those guys. And I believe their experience and their wisdom and, you know, their winning pedigree is going to be something that's going to help us get this thing to another level.
Coach, thanks for the time. Right around the corner, before we know it, we'll be tossing the ball in the air, and the ball is tipped, right, as they say in the famous song. And one shining moment, and we'll have it here in just a few months, and you got a lot of work ahead of you, I know that. So congrats again on the gig, of course, 2 months into it, and a lot of work still to be done before that season opener.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sam. I'm excited to get it going.
All right, that is Roger Powell, who is the head coach At Valparaiso University men's basketball, we will step aside real quick and have the women's basketball coach, Mary Evans, right after this.
Local 41, together with Indiana Laborers Training Center and our signatory employers, provide state-of-the-art instruction in all areas of the construction industry, from hazardous material handling and environmental remediation to road construction and highway safety. Remember to slow down in construction zones and that the Local 41 members working there are mothers, fathers, coaches, and mentors. Labor's Local 41. We build Indiana in more ways than one.
Looking for a career with stability, high wages, a pension, and the best benefits in the industry? Look no further than the Carpenters Union Local 599. We've been building our careers and communities for over 124 years. We believe in training, professionalism, and partnership. Better training, better pay, better benefits. We are the Carpenters Union. Call us at 219-942-0518 or visit ikorcc.com. Start building your future.
Welcome you back to Doc's Smokehouse here in Dyer, Indiana, for our Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. Don't forget tonight, the Coaches Bus Tour, continues 5:30 p.m. for the folks in the area. You can drive out to Zao Island and meet all the coaches, meet and greet there at 5:30 p.m. You can still come out here to Doc's, 1420 Calumet Avenue, and I'm told it's half-price wing day, too, so if you want the wings, they're half-price. You can't beat that. Coach, how are you? Mary Evans, women's basketball coach. Great to see you.
Good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I wish it wasn't raining outside.
Half-price wings night, or I would have might taken
Well, you still can. This is just a quick conversation, then you go right out there and get it. There you go.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your team, about things you're getting excited, I'm sure. And this time of year, there's a lot of feeling out. You're running some 5-on-5 and some drills and stuff that say, okay, I think we have this, but I'm trying to find out for sure.
Yeah, it's an important time of the year. I think we're getting our first look at this incoming class of 6 players. And getting a feel for what they're going to bring to the table. We've getting to see the improvements our returners have made through the spring and their off time during the summer. So it's been a lot of fun. I think you're going to see a team that's got quite a bit more athleticism. They've had great energy. I'm really excited about the returning kids and the newcomers.
Talk about athleticism, energy. It's been, I don't know if it's a shift completely in the game. I think it's always been there, obviously, but it just seems like the idea of, on both the men's and women's side, that it's important to have players that can kind of guard all 5 spots and really, really positionless basketball. Is that your mentality too? Yeah,
it's definitely my mentality. I think you're seeing that shift even through the NBA. And, we've got a crew, I think, that's good size. We're about 5'8" to 6'1", can guard all 5 positions. I'm really excited about that. And these kids grow up now playing AAU, and not that they roll the ball out, but it's about playing fast. It's about sharing the ball. It's about getting up and down and guarding, pressing. That's what they're used to, and so we're making that adjustment with this crew and trying to get up and down the floor, make good decisions and get good shots, and really focus on the defensive end here this summer.
What were some of the things for you last year that you're hoping to correct as far as some of the smaller things? I mean, like you said, personnel changes a bit, but some of the things that as a team you guys have to be better at.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us, and it's something we've talked about even last year, we've got to correct a little bit of our turnover issue. We've turned the ball over at a higher rate the last couple of years, and we haven't turned others over, and that's kind of been the thing. When we're good, we're turning people over, winning those, we're getting extra points from those turnovers, and we're not turning the basketball over. So we've harped a lot at taking care of the basketball, and we've gotten back to our defensive fundamentals and playing defense the way we want to play. And I think we have the athletes in our program to get back to playing that way this year.
Take people a bit inside the Missouri Valley Conference and what makes it so difficult.
It's so talented. From unbelievable coaches. Top to bottom, you have really, really great coaches to kids that are really good players, and then great basketball minds that put those kids in positions to win. And from a women's basketball perspective, I think it's one of the top mid-major conference, if not the top mid-major conference in the country. We've been getting 2 teams into the NCAA tournament, multiple teams into the NIT, and it's a grind, and it's a lot of fun. And we've added 2 really good teams in Missouri, Murray State and Belmont into the conference the last couple of years, and it's a battle night in and night out, and we talk about that in the recruiting process. We're like, there's no nights out, or no nights off. You've got to come in ready to play and compete, and if you show up and you're not ready to go, you're going to be exposed, and it's a beautiful thing when you're coaching. It's a fun thing to go through. Recruiting process.
Take us through your mentality. We just talked with Coach Powell, and a lot of coaches in this state talk about how important the state is. Is that at the top of your mind too? And then where are been the best spots for you as far as geographically speaking in the state to grab some players?
Yeah, I mean, I think we agree with that. Indiana is a hotbed of basketball. I think I grew up down south, and when you grew up down there, you always thought of Indiana as being one of the best places for basketball. So we've tried to take care of the state, but we're also so close to Chicago. And so I think we've got to really focus on Chicago and the area between Chicago and here, as well as the state of Indiana. So we're excited. We've got 5 incoming freshmen, 3 of which are from the state of Indiana, 2 from Fort Wayne, 1 from Indianapolis. And we're excited about those guys. They've played high-level basketball here in the state, and they're great kids, and looking forward to getting them on the floor and getting them in front of the people.
When you look at your time here, you've had a couple of big wins at Illinois and Purdue along your tenure. So you think about measuring up maybe against those Power 5 schools, and is that something that, again, obviously you're worried about the Missouri Valley Conference and stuff like that, but when you think about those litmus tests that you have sometimes against those schools, what's the mentality when you play a school like that?
I think it's a time for kids that's very exciting. I think these kids grow up playing AAU. They play against these kids and play with these kids that have opportunities to go to these schools. And if you're a true competitor, like, there's always that thought in the back of your mind, like, I'm better than her. And so I think when you get those opportunities to play those schools, like, you've got a chip on your shoulder and you want to prove that you belong and that you could have played at that level. And so I think sometimes it's fun to go out there and test your young people against those guys, and we've had some success against that, and those are always exciting times.
Coach, thanks for the time. Go get the wings, okay?
All right, I'm going to.
All right.
All right, thank you.
That is Mary Evans, who's the women's basketball head coach. We're going to step aside real quick and have the head football coach, Landon Fox, or no, we're going somewhere else? We're going to swimming? Volleyball. Okay. Volleyball. Got it. We'll have that next, right after this.
At Quick Scripts Pharmacy have expanded to Q-Spa, offering luxury dermatology services, treatments, and a lot more, including Evolve X, an FDA-approved non-invasive treatment that tones muscles, slims body shape, reduces cellulite appearance, and leaves you with tighter, smoother skin. Q-Spa also offers Morpheus 8, IPL, and laser hair removal. Q-Spa opens March 3rd and is located at 10865 Maple Lane in St. John. Call 219-333-1341 to book your appointment.
Everybody needs to buy an industrial vehicle, but if you're one of those pros out there looking for a forklift or a rail car mover, I've got your solution. I'm Dan McNeil for Voss Equipment. They've got a large selection of used equipment available right now from industry-leading manufacturers like Yale, Genie, and Trackmobile. Each machine has been tested before being added to the inventory, so you're getting high-quality products at used equipment prices. Go to VossEquipment.com and click on used equipment to see the inventory. That's VossEquipment.com.
Back here at Doc's Smokehouse in Dyer on Calumet Avenue. We welcome you back to the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. Karen Avery is with us now, the women's volleyball coach. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It's a beautiful rainy day here in the middle of July. It's funny how that works, doesn't it? I mean, you're usually just worried about the inside stuff. So I coach baseball, and we're always worried about the weather. But you look outside the last couple weeks, we finally got the rain. And then before that, everything was dry and yellow. It was horrible.
Yeah,
we can't catch the in between.
Right. My husband coaches soccer, and I was always like, I am an indoor sport gal for sure.
Yes, I get it. I referee basketball too. I much prefer that nice controlled environment. So tell us a bit about your team last year, and you've had a lot of success here at Valpo, and last year kind of no exception to that. So take us a bit back before we go forward.
Yeah. We've had 2 extremely successful years in our program. We were lucky enough, 2 years ago to make the championship match of the NIVC, which is your, if you're familiar with basketball, it's the NIT of volleyball. So we made it to a championship game 2 years ago. Last year we got invited back to the tournament. And this year we bring back 6 extremely successful seniors to our class. So, with 6 seniors that have had a lot of playing time in our program over the last 3 years, we're expecting some good things this season. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it's a very, very tough conference, the Missouri Valley. So, there's no easy games for us. So we're going to have to come to play every game.
Yeah, talk a bit about that. Obviously, you had gone through the change in conference a few years back, so it's a big step up. And tell us a bit about how you've had to adjust maybe some of your scouting and some of your recruiting as well.
Yeah, funny you said that. I actually tried to change my recruiting when we joined the Valley because the Valley was significantly better than the Horizon League at the time in volleyball. And so I kind of changed my recruiting philosophy a little bit to try to get some different type of players. And I found that, that doesn't quite work when you've been coaching for as long as I have. You kind of have a system and you recruit certain types of players. And, I kind of thought I really need to stick with what I'm used to and the type of players that we like to get, which are a little undersized, gritty, smaller. And so I went back to that, and I think that's why we've, again, been successful for these last few years because, we kind of went back to the recruiting philosophy that I had early on and kind of stuck with it. So, like I said, the Missouri Valley's tough. It's a much better conference, but it's great. The facilities are great. The schools are great. It's been a lot of fun for us.
When you think about, for people who don't know, you think about basketball and the differences in size, and as you climb the levels of, it's the same for volleyball.
100%, and that's what we kind of tried to do is get a little bigger, but then, again, it just didn't work with my system that I play at Valpo, and so we went back to, and we definitely, if you ever come to a game, we will definitely be the smallest team probably that you will see. We never win the warm-up match, if that makes sense. If you come watch warm-ups, it looks like, we're going to get hammered in our game, but, it just works for us, and it works for the system that we have at Valpo.
So what are some of the ways you guys combat being a little bit undersized? How do you use it to your advantage?
Yeah, definitely a defense. The ball never hits the ground. We kind of outlast and outwork and outgrind the other teams, so that's kind of what we went back to is we found the little undersized. So I think both of my outside hitters are 5'8" and 5'8", and that's probably being very generous. Where all the other schools we go to, they're probably 6'1", 6'2". But that's what we try to do. We just try to outwork and outlast and outgrind the other teams.
Talk a bit about some of the players that are new to the fold now. You've mentioned a lot of returners and stuff like that, but how are you going to incorporate some new faces?
Yeah, really funny. I have 2 of my freshmen. We have 4 freshmen coming in this season, and 2 of them I actually played college volleyball with, so they're very good friends of mine. I have both of their daughters coming to play for me, so that's going to be really cool, kind of different thing. So, I don't know how many people can say that, they coach 2 of their good friends' kids. We also have our tallest player in program history coming in as a freshman. Her name is Jessica Pickett, and she is a 6'6" player out of Carmel, Indiana. So she will be very fun to see progress in her next 4 years, and super fun to get a girl who's 6'6".
For sure. You have to keep Coach Evans away from her.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if anybody's put a basketball in her hands yet, but thinking about the different mentality of recruiting, right? Coaches in this state want to win Indiana. Where is this spot for you? How is this state measure up to the rest?
Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, if you the Northern Indiana Conference, the NIC, which is based out of the South Bend, Mishawaka, Elkhart area, I have gotten the last, I believe, 6 NIC Players of the Year out of that conference to come to Valpo. So we are extremely lucky to keep, a lot of girls in the region and in Northern Indiana, and to come play for me at Valpo. So we had definitely, and then of course I just mentioned we have a girl from Carmel, a couple girls from Southern Indiana. So, half our roster is Indiana kids. I just think, volleyball is a huge sport in Indiana, and it's great to keep local talent in the area and, in Valpo, and, our fan support is unbelievable because we have so many local kids coming, and that's been really fun too.
Seems like volleyball on both sides of the coin, on the men's side even now too, we're starting to see it sprout up in high schools. What is the state of volleyball?
Yeah, Valpo High School and this conference in Northern Indiana over here, Lake Central just won our conference actually.
Okay.
And in the for high school. And so it's the popularity is through the roof. And also beach volleyball is the biggest emerging sport right now in the NCAA, which is really exciting. I personally would love to have beach volleyball at Valparaiso University. I think that would be, a bucket list of mine for some time here in the future. So, volleyball 100% is, like I said, the most emerging sport. And we just were lucky enough that ESPN and ABC just picked up our championship match for the NCAA Division I this year. And so how great is that we went from, ESPN to ABC.
Absolutely. I've talked to some of the coaches around here at the college and high school level, and they're telling me how much it's growing and how excited people are, especially the people involved in the game, of course, that it's taking that big next step. Well, Coach, we wish you continued success and a good season ahead, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, we will step aside, and I think now we have the football coach. Coach Fox is going to join us next. On the other side of this break, this is the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. If you're in the area, come out to Doc's 1420 Calumet Avenue. Get the wings, half-price wings. Back after this.
What do we build at Corellis? We build leaders, and those leaders build our communities. And together we build careers that last decades. Corellis provides a safe work environment, great wages and benefits, healthcare for your entire family, and an experienced team of over 200 professionals that you'll be proud to work with. If you're interested in working with a company that has a winning team culture, visit Corellis.com or stop by our office and fill out an application today. We're waiting to build your career the Corellis way.
Northwest Indiana ER and Hospital is thrilled to bring full-service concierge-level emergency care to the region. Our mission to provide the best patient experience is achieved by way of immediate access to the absolute best physicians, nurses, and support staff in the area. Our emergency department and hospital are open 24/7 for all of your medical needs. Our entire team is dedicated to serving you and will provide excellent care in our state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit our facility, which is conveniently located off of Interstate 8094.
Welcome you back inside Doc's. Don't forget, tonight, 5:30 p.m., Zale Island, the coaches bus tour continues. This is the first stop on that tour today. You can meet all the Valparaiso Athletics coaches. That's something we've talked to and something we're still going to talk to here over the next about 35 minutes until 12:30. Right now, it's the head football coach, and that is Landon Fox. Coach, how are you?
Doing great, thanks.
Absolutely. I'm sure summer is a time for you to recharge for just a moment, and then you guys get right into your summer practices and all that. So where are we at right now across the timeline?
Yeah, it's a very different time in terms of the calendar with transfer portal. It's a big one. And, as we were just sharing with the coaches, transfer portal opened end April, it closes beginning of May. Well, at that May time, your FBS schools are trying to figure out who they want to start in June. And then the reality is this used to be a quiet time for us, in terms of you'd have your recruiting class done in February. Well, now you're still looking at potential guys to join your team for the fall of this year, which is really unique to the calendar. So, I think we have to be good in terms of change and what that looks like for our schedule. So, very interesting.
Where are you at right now in terms of your recruiting class? Is there a couple guys that maybe could, really help you out that are still out there without naming names, of course?
Yeah, I think the cool thing is from our development as a program, taking over here 4 years ago, last year we had 2 freshmen that played significant time for us, that played in most of the 11 games that we played. So the reality is when we're recruiting at this point, it's going to be challenging for those freshmen to play, and we tell them that up front. So I would say there's some transfers that we've been able to recruit that will help us. I would say specifically at the wide receiver position, that would be an area that we've created depth through the transfer portal.
Recruiting for you, where's your go-to spot? I mean, I know a couple guys around here who have come to play for you. One out of Lowell. I know the Langen family.
James Langen, yeah. And he's been here this summer.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed in terms of him. And then the Lowell program itself, you speak highly of just from a standpoint he knows how to work, right? And that's not always the easiest thing to do. And he's done a tremendous job this summer, and his commitment to being here in the summer as a freshman. We ask all of our guys to be here in the summer once they've arrived, right, as going into their sophomore, junior, and senior years. But he's been here all summer. He'll have a chance to be a very good player for us. And, in terms of the recruiting area, obviously you always want to recruit the region well because there's really good football here. And obviously the name recognition, I always get excited about guys like that because people know them. We're in the radio here and people know James Langan name. And so that brings excitement to Valpo football. Chicago area, I consider that still local. So I've done an outstanding job there. But the reality is, the level of player you need, we'll have to be nationwide, and don't clamp limitations just on a specific area. Go try to find a player that can help you in all areas. And that means as a person, as a football player, and as a student. So.
Commitment to work. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the secret to success right there, right? And, how many days, we talk about stacking days. And the reality is you have to be in a football game. I mean, there's 80 plays, and you have to be really good for 80 plays in a row. You'll have bad plays, right? But how many good plays can you put together? And I think that's hard. It's hard for all of us to stack days and to be your very best each and every day that we ask them to do. And I think that's the formula for success. So.
Had a nice year last year, some firsts, right? It's always it's good to get those out of the way because then you start building towards setting the bar higher. But you had 3 road wins in the same season for the first time ever. 3 league road games, won those for the first time since '62. Also beat Marist and Moorhead State for the first time since '06. Marist for the first time ever.
Yep.
So what's it like to say, hey? You go put this in front of people and say, here's what we're doing, and they have to be like, well, okay, pretty impressed, right?
People have recognized it.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about it. I think for me, and I get goosebumps, talking about it. Those players that were part of that, you'll never take it away from them, ever. That's what they earned, and the hard work and dedication, commitment allowed them to be the first. And I'm very thankful for what they've done. Now that being said, I think the cool thing and where we're at in our program, and I've said this, and usually, my wife usually gives me a hard time. I'm the guy that says we're not going to be very good. We're not going to be very good. The reality is our roster is as good as it's been, and our ability to attract really good people, good student athletes to Valpo. With that being said, your question is right on point. Like, we got to take the next step, right? It's not okay to be 4-4 in the league. Like, the expectation is to win league championships. And I just had a conversation. We have summer access with the guys. It's a new thing. Started last summer. So we had them this morning at 6 a.m. And I shared just that with them. Like, we have a lot of talent in this room. And so the standards, that bar that you're talking about, has been raised. And so they know that, and they're excited about it.
Well, football season will be here before you know it. We have a saying around here with one of our shows. Football season really never ends.
Never ends, yeah.
And you know that well, especially with some of these changes we just talked about. So it'll be, before you know it, snap your fingers, and week 1 will be right around the corner.
But we're talking football in July. That's always good, right?
Amen to that.
So.
Coach, thanks for the time. Go get some wings, too. We're hoping everybody has.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
That is Landon Fox, the head football coach at Valpo University. We'll step aside real quick and have John Maravich, the women's soccer coach, right after this.
Northwest Indiana ER and Hospital is thrilled to bring full-service concierge-level emergency care to the region. Our mission to provide the best patient experience is achieved by way of immediate access to the absolute best physicians, nurses, and support staff in the area. Our emergency department and hospital are open 24/7 for all of your medical needs. Our entire team is dedicated to serving you and will provide excellent care in our state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit our facility, which is conveniently located off of Interstate 8094.
The JED TV app is available on your smartphone and streaming devices. If you downloaded the WJOB Network app, then you're good to go. The same app with a new name. If not, head to the App Store on your phone or streaming device. And right now, you'll be able to watch JED in the Region Rush Hour, and all PNW and high school sports right in the palm of your hand or in the comfort of your own living room. That's the JED TV app, available on all streaming devices.
Welcome you back to the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. I'm Sam Michael. John Maravich joins us now. Coach, head of the women's soccer team. You had a great season last year, didn't you?
Some would say yes.
Yeah.
Bringing home the first Valley Championship for the university was really special, and just so proud of our players and so proud of the athletic community. The support that we got really got us across the finish line.
Well, you built a nice program here. Long tenured coach, obviously, and a lot of that. You were the Horizon League Coach of the Year, and you know all that stuff that goes into it. And then you get into this conference, and it just goes like this, right?
Absolutely. I mean, really, the build into that championship was that transformation. The seniors that just graduated were the first class that we recruited to the Missouri Valley Conference specifically for what we felt we needed to win that championship. And so to see them come full circle, where when they were freshmen, we just made the commitment. Like 7 of those kids started, and we had some struggles because freshmen don't always pull out the win at the end sometimes. But they learned valuable experiences. They learned how to get through adversity. They learned what it was going to take, and then they put their mind to it and put their efforts into it. And to be able to see them, hoist the trophy on Brown Field down that day was it just comes full circle and just shows you that who dares wins.
That's right. How did you battle maybe in today's world? We see if there's struggles program-wide, players are struggling as freshmen and sophomores sometimes. It's pretty easy in today's world with the transfer portal to say, I'm going to go somewhere else. So how did you maintain confidence in the idea that, hey, we might be struggling right now, but we're going to get to this one day?
It's about relationships. It's about the relationships between the players and the coaches and the players to players. They have to have that outsource or that resource to come in and talk through things and just let them know, like, nothing in life is easy. Carol Lawson said it best. Life doesn't get easier. It gets harder, and we have to learn how to do hard better. And so when they look and say, oh, it looks so easy for them, is it really? Or did those folks just learn how to do hard better? And so we just talked to them about sticking with the grind. They're here not for just the soccer. They're here for the education and the relationships. But the relationships that they have within our program are so deep and are so caring that they don't want to leave. They want to be a part of this group. They want to be a part of this experience because they hear from outside sources that what they have is pretty special and unique. And that they don't want to leave that because it's maybe not going to be any better somewhere else. But actually fighting through challenges and hurdles with your teammates and your friends is far more rewarding. And there's moments in my career that, little moments, little wins here and there, that'll be the picture that I'll remember for certain players just because of the adversity they went through and how they found a way to overcome and achieve.
You mentioned the idea that you recruited this team basically with the mentality of what it was going to take to win in this conference. So what is it that you had to change mindset-wise and maybe personnel-wise as you went from the Horizon to the Missouri a few years back?
Yeah, there's no easy win. 1 through 11 in women's soccer, anybody can beat anybody on a given day. So there wasn't games out there that you can maybe go out and just be good and get a result. You have to pursue excellence every single day. And so we had to be a little bit more athletic. We had to be deeper in a lot more positions. We had to continue the tradition of outstanding goalkeeping because our history at Valpo for goalkeeping is top-notch. And having Nikki Coriel in the group right now leading the way, being the 3-time Missouri Valley Conference Goalkeeper of the Year, and she's going to be a senior in the fall. To have those types of players who have energy, who bring that performance expectation to training every day, it just breeds that kind of environment through everyone. And now everybody from top to bottom is competing, battling. They're doing their summer workouts. They're holding themselves accountable to that. We're just an engaged group. And that mentality of who dares wins, why not us? Right? A lot of people would say, you're a mid-major, can you do it? Why not us? Why not Valpo? And so we believe in who dares wins, and we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going. We want quality human beings that believe in team, believe in working, and want to be a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament, that want to be the signature program in the Missouri Valley Conference, and who have a drive for that. And that's what we recruit, and that's what we're getting. We had great conversations with our 24 commitments this past weekend who were playing for national championships. And they're so engaged with our program already, and they're not even here yet. And that's why I think we've had success and will continue to have success.
Talk a bit about one last thing before we'll let you go. But the players you built up to success, so I'm sure a vast majority of them are going to be moving on. You have to replace a lot. How are you doing that? Some of the new faces that are going to be given a lot to handle.
Our environment every day.
Yeah.
It's the players, the expectation they have for each other. They have a tradition to uphold. We believe tradition doesn't graduate, and so it's now their turn. So it's next woman up. Same if an injury happens, next woman up. I stole that from Mike Tomlin at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's an unbelievable organization, and I learned of the Steelers because my wife's a huge Steelers fan. So, but I think that is so true. It's next woman up, right? Whether it's graduation or injury, it's time for you to step up and be the one, and they've done a great job of that. Our players are absolutely incredible human beings.
Coach, again, congrats. Program's first Missouri Valley Conference regular season championship, and that's something that your players never forget that.
We will not. Thank you so much for having us out today. This is great.
Absolutely. We will step aside again real quick here and have the head baseball coach, Brian Schmack, is up with us next.
Ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
Power comes in many different forms. We depend on it everywhere we go. It's in our homes, our offices, our stores, our factories and plants. We are the experts who harness it and deliver it to you. We are the Powering America team of Northwest Indiana, the best trained, most skilled, and safest electricians in the world. The very definition of value in every job we do. For your next project, go to certifiedelectrician.com.
Back here at Doc Smokehouse, we welcome you inside our Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. Brian Schmack, the head baseball coach, has joined us. Coach, how are you?
Excellent. How are you?
Good. It's summertime. It's baseball season for a lot of other people, but you guys obviously play your season in the spring. So what are you spending your time doing? You going out and I'm sure seeing guys that you're trying to get on campus and recruit and stuff like that. So how are you spending your summer?
Yeah, it's recruiting. June's a big identification period. July's, you try to get the guys that you like on campus and try to show them what we're all about. So busy time of the year.
What is the state of baseball up here in Northwest Indiana, up in the northern part, or some of the areas that you're recruiting?
It's good. I mean, I think, we had a time when we went out to California to try to find some players from out that way, and did really well at a certain time. But we just found out that the kids from the Midwest, we just liked them better, to be honest, and a little bit tougher. Played multiple sports. They weren't tapped out. I think the potential was there as they got older, and we just really liked this area.
Coming off a pretty good season last year, you guys had 20 wins for the first time since 2017. You hit a ton of homers, 50 of them. That was the most since 2001. So was that the recipe going into the year, that we were going to be a big slugging team and that's how we were going to maybe make up for some smaller deficiencies in other areas, or what are you kind of trying to recruit to?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way the game's going, home runs and whatnot, and we try to get in that as well. And with the team that we had, you try to play with what you have. Obviously, if we've got a bunch of smaller guys, we're not going to try to lift and separate. So with some of the bigger guys we had on the team, that really plays well. And finally, the 3-run home run can win you the baseball game instead of having to be pitching and defense all the time.
Talk a bit about coaching your son. How difficult that might be at different times. There's, as a young person in Little League, and when you're coaching your kid and he's 10, 11, and 12, that's kind of expected. And then some people let off once they get towards high school, and then they might go play college for somebody else. But, I mean, you've kind of gone all the way for the most part, right? How is that?
Well, it was the first time I actually coached him because we're always recruiting and whatnot, so I never had the opportunity to do that. So was excited for the challenge, and because, again, I've talked to a lot of coaches that had coached their sons, and you either want them to be really good or really bad, right? Because that in-between is now you start getting some side eyes, right? So the first year was challenging. I think COVID actually helped. He struggled. A lot of guys struggled. We played an incredible schedule, but him getting that under his belt and learning about the college game was good, and kind of settled into it, and now he's one of the better guys, and it's fun. It's been probably one of the greatest honors of my coaching career.
And again, as you mentioned, he's not just kind of he's playing right and hitting seventh. He's playing in the big spots, either playing left or a little bit of first, I know, last year at times, and hitting in the middle of your order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just fun to watch. And, you want all your guys to do well, obviously, but there's that little bit of extra dad in you when he's up that you want him to get a hit every time. And it's not possible, and you kind of, assume that. But it's really, really fun to watch and just, share his success with him.
You had some guys take that next step for you last year, and there were some incredible seasons. Talk about a few notable ones that people may not know completely about, but that were huge, gigantic steps for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, last year, beating Southern Miss, and it's something where they're ranked 23rd, 20-something in the country at that time, and we go in and we beat them on a Friday, and we beat an All-American pitcher, to 3-time All-American pitcher, got drafted this past weekend, and it's something the guys will remember forever because it's something we kind of handled them that game too. It was really fun, and those guys remember that. They're still talking about it, and I'm so happy for them because as you go through this process, they won't remember the record the whole season, how they did in the game probably, but they'll remember that they beat this team, and to see them playing on the Super Regionals and being a couple wins away from the College World Series and say that we beat that team is pretty awesome.
Had some really good success. Speaking of teams that had a nice little postseason run. You look at some of the teams at the top of your conference. Indiana State obviously was one of those. So when you think about where the bar is set by them and some of those teams, what do you guys have to maybe do a little bit differently to try to catch up there?
Yeah, we've got to coach them better. I mean, and Indiana State's an incredibly well-coached team. They just do not make mistakes. I think they know their limitations. They know how good they are, and we have to do the same. We go in every series trying to play these guys and thinking, okay, we got a chance. We do this, that, and the other, and they just come out and play flawless baseball, and you're just left shaking your head. So it's the consistency that they have, and we're trying to get to. And it's great to see them day in and day out to see how they do it because it gives us the template.
Coach, appreciate your time. We hate this, right? When you see this outside rain,
it's
there's
awful.
Nothing worse.
Yeah,
there's nothing worse.
Yeah.
We become weathermen during the season. I understand that. Coach, congrats on a nice season this year, and better luck in the future and more consistency as you're talking about. That's on the horizon. I know it, right?
Yeah, appreciate it. Yes, it is.
All right. That is Brian Schmack, the head baseball coach. We will step aside and meet softball, I believe, right? Coach Petterpiece is next. We'll take a break and come back right after this.
Power comes in many different forms. We depend on it everywhere we go. It's in our homes, our offices, our stores, our factories and plants. We are the experts who harness it and deliver it to you. We are the Powering America team of Northwest Indiana, the best trained, most skilled, and safest electricians in the world. The very definition of value in every job we do. For your next project, go to certifiedelectrician.com.
Are you refilling multiple prescriptions each month? If so, let Vito's save you time and money with Vito's Simplify My Meds and Simplify My Meds Gold programs. These programs make it easy to refill all your medications at once. And with our Gold programs, you can enjoy all your medications in an easy-to-use prepackaged blister pack. Not only is this simple and convenient, it is no extra cost to you. Visit us online at VitosPharmacy.com for more information or stop in and talk with a pharmacist today.
Vito's Pharmacy.
Back here at Doc's Smokehouse in Dyer, Indiana, Calumet Avenue. Come on today if you can. Half-price wings are the special here with the folks, Brent Brazier's crew and everybody out here ready to serve you if you want to come out on a rainy day, get some barbecue. Of course, never a bad time for it. We welcome you back to the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. Reminder, you can meet some of the coaches on their bus tour tonight, 5:30 p.m. at Zale Island. If you want to meet some of those folks we've talked to and some we still have to get to, that's the place to be. Right now, one of those is Coach Megan Petterpiece. Coach, it's great to meet you. Taking over the softball program last year. What did you think after year one and the state of your program a bit?
Well, it was, an amazing opportunity to come to Valparaiso and, get to know the university and the athletes. And it was a pretty challenging year for us. We didn't have a lot of, depth as far as players and whatnot. So it's definitely in the stages of rebuilding from the ground up. And I think that our focus being on the culture and what we want this program to get to a championship mindset is something that we're really focused on going forward.
When you take over a program like that and you've got juniors and seniors and players that have been used to something else for 2 and 3 seasons. How difficult can that be, and what was your approach to sort of building the relationship? Like you said, you got to build the program from the ground up, but you had to do that with relationships of players you inherited too.
Yes, it's definitely a little trying because obviously kids get used to certain things, but with how the program was the last few years, there hasn't been much consistency at all. So I think that that's, the biggest focus that I tried to stay on top of, and just starting to set new standards, and allowing the kids to understand that there is going to be new things that are coming that are going to be challenging, and that they have to be able to adapt. It's just like life, and I've tried to really promote that with them. Now the relationships and stuff, obviously spending the time getting to know the girls and things that they want, and need to have to have success. And so those are the kinds of things that we've really focused on. But the consistency I think is a really big piece. And I think going into year 2, knowing those girls and the returners that are going to be back, I think that they've gotten a good grasp of who we are, what we're standing for, and what we're going to go forward with.
When you think about last year, and I'm sure there was times where you were taking notes and thinking, okay, this has got to be fixed for next year. We have maybe this slight roster deficiency here. What are some of the things that stand out and you say, hey, this is the type of player we need to compete in this conference? This is where we have to be a little bit better to be consistent, as you're saying.
Yeah, I think with recruiting, we really looked for the character of kids and, just the want to be, at the top, and kids that are going to come in and drive this program forward. There hasn't been as much standard setting, I felt like, prior to. So I think that made it difficult, especially for leadership. When you don't have great leaders ahead of you, it's very hard to learn how to do that. We're really going to push that at the beginning of this year and going through, as far as what we're looking for with the program and really getting that message across.
Where have you gone around either the state? Have you been in Northwest Indiana? There's some programs that have produced some pretty good players. I know Alexis Johnson, who's on your team from Lake Central. They've had great success. A place I'm sure you're very well aware that's a good place to look for some incoming talent. So where else have you gone?
Well, the summer has been busy. We've gone to Columbus, Ohio a couple times. I went out to Colorado, actually, which being out in the Midwest is kind of nice because you see kids from all over the nation. In the fall, we went down south to Georgia and Florida as well, just looking for, kids, that might stand out somewhere else and have that drive as far as academics and stuff, because that's really important at Valparaiso. And that really helps sell the school as well, I think, just in a nutshell without even sports. So I think that those are the kind of places and things that we've gone just to find kids that, maybe haven't been seen or been exposed quite as much as others. And we've been really diving into getting those commitments.
Coach, best of luck building up this program, and year 2. And then once we get it built, then we'll talk about continued success. But good luck. Good luck in year 2, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, we will talk to the head tennis coach, Bob Modesto, coming up right after this.
Local 41, together with Indiana Laborers Training Center and our signatory employers, provide state-of-the-art instruction in all areas of the construction industry, from hazardous material handling and environmental remediation to road construction and highway safety. Remember to slow down in construction zones, and that the Local 41 members working there are mothers, fathers, coaches, and mentors. Laborers Local 41. We build Indiana in more ways than one.
Looking for a career with stability, high wages, a pension, and the best benefits in the industry? Look no further than the Carpenters Union Local 599. We've been building our careers and communities for over 124 years. We believe in training, professionalism, and partnership. Better training, better pay, better benefits. We are the Carpenters Union. Call us at 219-942-0518 or visit ikorcc.com. Start building your future.
Welcome you back to Doc's Smokehouse here on what has turned into an even more rainy Wednesday, July 12th. This is the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show, part of the Valpo Coaches Bus Tour, in which they will be at Zale Island tonight at 5:30 p.m. You can meet and greet with some of the coaches out there, and one of those is Bob Modesto. Coach, how are you doing?
Great. It's great to be here. Wimbledon is on, and
there you go.
You know, it's a good day for tennis.
No doubt about that. Fourth year under your belt now at this point. And
yeah, going into fifth year.
You think about your program and where they're at. Give folks kind of the Cliff Notes version.
Well, we're getting better each year. This year, for the first time in the program history, we're entering into an area where we have international players coming in. And we have a player from Australia who we're really excited about. We feel like she's going to strengthen our program immediately. We have a player from Canada and a new recruit from Southern California. So we really feel good about the future and who we have coming in for the program. In addition to that, we've got our Conference Player of the Year, Olivia Shawanka, returning, and our number 2 singles player won the conference championship, and she's returning. So things are good for Valpo tennis.
Why is it so important to get students from outside the country to come here?
You know, we want to attract the top players, and if you're a top American player, you sometimes look past the mid-majors, where the international players are really just eager to get here and play tennis, and which school they attend is not as doesn't have play as big a role. So sometimes you're able to attract a higher level international player than you are an American player.
When you think about the differences in maybe America versus, as you said, Australia, and then there's European countries that obviously play a lot of tennis too, where do you feel like how do we stack up here in America to some of the other spots?
Well, I think our top players are every bit as good as other players throughout the world, but like I said, it's really hard sometimes to attract those top American players. I was just at a national clay court championship in Charleston yesterday, and watching the top players in the nation. And I'm there recruiting against North Carolina, Texas, and so sometimes it's tough when you're trying to attract those players as a mid-major.
When you think about some of the players in your roster right now and going from all over the places you said, all the way to Australia to some of the states maybe bordering here in Indiana, where have you had the most success in bringing players?
Really, it's the Chicagoland district. Yeah. Chicago has a strong following and strong tennis players, so the Chicago district has been very good for us. Wisconsin has been good, Indianapolis, so we can go to the major hubs in the Midwest and we can attract some players there who want to stay close to home and are great players. So those are big areas for us for recruiting.
When you're trying to sell the university, and especially to players who are really far away, whether they're international or from West Coast or something, what's the biggest selling point to you?
A few things. One, Division I. And I just say Valparaiso University is a hidden gem because it's a Division I university not too far from Chicago that is in a great conference, Missouri Valley Conference. Valpo's a great community, great place to be. So we really feel like it's a hidden gem. And we're looking forward to good things for the basketball program to make us a name that is well known throughout the states.
No doubt about it, Coach. Appreciate the time and a few moments.
Good luck. Thanks, Sam.
Continued success going forward, okay? That's Bob Modesto, the head tennis coach. We'll have Vincent Walker, the track and field cross-country coach, coming up after this.
At Quick Scripts Pharmacy have expanded to Q-Spa, offering luxury dermatology services, treatments, and a lot more, including Evolve X, an FDA-approved non-invasive treatment that tones muscles, slims body shape, reduces cellulite appearance, and leaves you with tighter, smoother skin. Q-Spa also offers Morpheus 8, IPL, and laser hair removal. Q-Spa opens March 3rd and is located at 10865 Maple Lane in St. John. Call 219-333-1341 to book your appointment.
Everybody needs to buy an industrial vehicle, but if you're one of those pros out there looking for a forklift or a rail car mover, I've got your solution. I'm Dan McNeil for Voss Equipment. They've got a large selection of used equipment available right now from industry-leading manufacturers like Yale, Genie, and Trackmobile. Each machine has been tested before being added to the inventory, so you're getting high-quality products at used equipment prices. Go to VossEquipment.com and click on used equipment to see the inventory. That's VossEquipment.com.
Back here at Doc Smokehouse as we welcome you back to the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. We have a chance now to talk with track and field cross-country coach Vincent Walker. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. You're just coming off your first year at the helm. How'd it go? Tell us about it. I mean, what stood out to you most?
Yeah, I think for me that stood out the most is just the culture change, right? When I came in, there's a lot of different training things that I kind of mixed up. I think the team had some wide eyes and were like, this guy's crazy. We're not going to do this, and they bought into the program, and obviously this year was really successful for what we've been historically. So I think just the culture change has been huge for us.
What is the biggest thing that you thought had to be changed?
I think part of it is just kind of the training, right?
Yeah.
For us, typically we are a little bit more lower mileage than what you would think of for a Division I program at this level in this conference. So we kind of changed some of the mileage up, some of the structure of the training, and some of the little things we did, and that's been huge for us.
You were at Minnesota before this, right?
Yep, correct.
So how were things as far as the way they did things and what you're trying to, some of those lessons you might have learned to bring here?
Yeah, it's interesting to go from the Power 5 level to then, at Minnesota, which was super successful. We won multiple Big Ten titles, finished 5th in the country on the women's side. I'm in cross, so the way I looked at it is, I think people see mid-majors as, well, they have to train differently, but in my mind, we can train the same exact way. So when I came in here, and a lot of people were like, oh, you're treating us like you're Minnesota athletes. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, you can be just as good and just as successful. I mean, the Missouri Valley is one of the best mid-major conferences, arguably, at the mid-major level, and we can be at the top of that. We can train the same way that Power 5 schools do and find that success. So for me, I mean, there wasn't much of a difference. I treat them exactly the same.
Well, a lot of people think that Minnesota is good at track and field and cross country. I mean, football and hockey are probably like the things there, right? And it's cold all the time and it's snowing, and you're thinking, obviously we know we can run indoors, but a lot of people think, man, it's not great conditions to do this. So how did you guys, we'll get back to Valpo in a second, obviously, but how did you guys combat some of the elemental things that you might have had to deal with as far as was it all indoor there all the time, or there had to be outdoor, right?
No, I think there comes this Midwest tough or like a Minnesota tough, yeah. Right? I mean, we got to get out the doors, and obviously if it's dangerous, if it's icy or it's super snowy, like we're not going to be outside, but it is cold, and we just make sure we're supplying the gear that they need to be successful in that. And obviously we had a nice indoor field house, and when it came to traveling, we had a little bit more money to work with, so we'd go out, south and kind of chase the good weather when it came to meets and things like that. But you just got to get out the door and do it. I
always think about when the year the Vikings were building their new stadium and Brett Favre was the quarterback, and they said the ground was like concrete, and he got sacked and he got that concussion. I'm like, this is what I think of Minnesota. That's what I think. You're going to have a tough time building on the individual success and some of the records. I mean, I got a long list in front of me of individual program records, highest NCAA regional finish in program history. Men had their best finish since joining the Valley in indoor and out. I mean, how are you gonna top that?
Yeah, I think the interesting is to remember too, like this was just development with athletes that were already here when I got here, right? So I think the biggest part is, I was able to sell my vision to the athletes that are here, and now bringing in my first recruiting class is super important. So the women we're bringing in, I'm excited about. The men we have, it's probably one of our best recruiting classes we've had in recent history. So young group, really fired up, looking to kind of build off of that. So I'm excited to see where they go. And, even this past year, like we've really dabbled more into international recruiting. So I've been to Puerto Rico a couple times, and we have a gentleman on the team that just graduated that's the silver medalist in their national championships and is looking to make world teams. And that has really been huge for us to be able to bring in some more international talent. So
I'm sure it's never a bad excuse to get to travel to Puerto Rico too, right?
Absolutely not. No, a nice sunny day on the beach.
Yes, it could be worse.
Exactly.
You could be in Minnesota.
Yeah, well, yeah, negative weather up there.
Right, Coach. Continued success in year number 2, okay, and Keep up the good work.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you. That's Vince Walker. He's the head man with track and field and cross country. I've got one more coach to talk to, and that's swimming coach Maggie Kramer is next.
What do we build at Corellis? We build leaders, and those leaders build our communities. And together we build careers that last decades. Corellis provides a safe work environment, great wages and benefits, healthcare for your entire family, and an experienced team of over 200 professionals that you'll be proud to work with. If you're interested in working with a company that has a winning team culture, visit Corellis.com or stop by our office and fill out an application today. We're waiting to build your career the Corellis way.
Northwest Indiana ER and Hospital is thrilled to bring full-service concierge-level emergency care to the region. Our mission to provide the best patient experience is achieved by way of immediate access to the absolute best physicians, nurses, and support staff in the area. Our emergency department and hospital are open 24/7 for all of your medical needs. Our entire team is dedicated to serving you and will provide excellent care in our state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit our facility, which is conveniently located off of Interstate 8094.
It is a rainy Wednesday afternoon here in the middle of July as we sit here at Doc's Smokehouse. It's Wednesday, which is the good news, and if you're interested in some wings, half-price wings, Brent Brazier and the folks do really well here on everything, but the wings are good, and I've got some waiting, and this is what happens, Coach, when you fall 6 minutes behind schedule. You have to wait for your food. That's the problem, and so that's the predicament we find ourselves in, but I'm not going to rush you, okay? You're a former Valpo swimmer. This is your alma mater. Tell us a bit about what makes Valpo special.
Yeah, Valpo has great academics and, that small, tight-knit community, but you also get that Division I athletic experience and get to know your professors, and just the people around here are great, great to work with. You have that family atmosphere, and that's what drew me back here as a coach.
Swimming is a very dedicated sport. Every sport is, but I remember in high school and stuff, the swimmers are always the ones that are there really early, and I had a couple of swimmers in classes, and they're going like that at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So how do you deal with that as an athlete yourself, and then now as a coach, kind of saying, hey, I get it, but it's what we have to do?
Yeah, and the swimmers are really good at managing their time. They're great students, and they're good at prioritizing their academics and studying when they have the chance. They don't really procrastinate very much, and that helps them. So they're really good at handling the two-a-day practices and getting their academics done. And we've been Scholar All-American teams for several years in a row now, and lots of academic awards on our team. So they've done a great job balancing the two.
When you look at best places to try to find future of your program, where do you go to? People would think, swimming, you got to find a warm weather climate, but that might not be the case, right?
Swimming is, very strong in all the different states. So we have people from all over the place, local kids, Chicago kids, also several people from West Coast, East Coast, South, even one person on our team from Columbia. So swimming's really good in the United States, and we've gotten some great swimmers from all over the place.
You had some records last year, 17 entries into the record book, Sarah Strauss program record, 100 individual medley, 43 entries into the book by the men as well, Garrett Hotman in the 50 fly, Jackson Usman in the 200 medley. When you think about some of those things, all the hard work that you mentioned, grinding in practice, then you're going right to the books after. Tell us a bit about some of the things that made you really proud, probably, when you looked at some of those records.
Yeah, we've broken a lot of records during the 4 years I've been here, and all the record holders that you mentioned, they're returning this year, as well as all of our conference scorers, and we have a huge class of freshmen coming in. We have 19 freshmen, so we've been building every year. I'm really excited to see what the team can do this season. This is going to be our largest team that we've ever had in the history of Valpo swimming. So lots of things to look forward to this year. I think we can score more points in conference than what we ever had, and break a lot more records than what we did this year.
I can say this only because I coach baseball, but you have to be a little bit off, I think, to get back into coaching, right? So what drew you back into it, especially coming back here?
Yeah, well, since I've graduated, I've always been coaching. I love the sport of swimming. I wanted to stay involved with the sport. My major for undergrad was education, so I view coaching, as teaching. And not only are you helping them with their sport, you're also helping them with life too. And this is just my way of giving back to the sport.
It's always the relationships, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the things people always talk about. This athletes and coaches that they always say when they get to that point of either retiring or just had enough, whatever it might be, that they always say, I'm not going to miss the weight room and some of the stuff in the training. But I'm always going to miss the people in the building. Mm-hmm. And that's the number one thing. And that's what I think that you guys are still trying to not only build off of, right? You're trying to build on what is already a good environment here at Valpo.
Yes.
Coach, best of luck, continued success, and next year when we're doing this, we're going to be even more records to read about, right?
Yes, thank you.
All right, absolutely. That's Maggie Kramer, the swimming coach here at Valparaiso University. We got one more person to talk to, and that is Dr. Charles Small. We'll have him right after this quick break.
The JED TV app is available on your smartphone and streaming devices. If you downloaded the WJOB Network app, then you're good to go. The same app with a new name. If not, head to the App Store on your phone or streaming device. And right now, you'll be able to watch JED the Region Rush Hour, and all PNW and high school sports right in the palm of your hand or in the comfort of your own living room. That's the JED TV app, available on all streaming devices.
Ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
Well, last but certainly not least, of course, is the guy at the helm, right? That's Dr. Charles Small, Director of Athletics here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Great day.
Why'd they make you go last?
Hey, that's a part of it. Leaders go last, right?
Touche. So you had a busy first year here at Valpo, and obviously along the way there were decisions made about the future of the men's basketball program. There's other things going on. I know some exciting things about some projects and stuff like that. So kind of sum up year number one.
It was awesome. From the start, when you go through the interview process, you don't quite know what you're walking into. You have an idea. But I knew this was a special place, and now that I've lived here, Valparaiso as a community, Northwest Indiana as a community, just a wonderful, wonderful place, and great people. My family's made the transition. And when you think about the institution, I think we have great alignment with President Padilla and his vision, bold vision. And then we had the tradition and have the tradition at Valpo Athletics. And so I got into the chair and did a lot of listening. And I learned a lot, and we were able to execute on some initiatives. So I'm really excited about where we're going. We have a lot of exciting things going in some various sports. And so looking forward for year two.
So how does Northwest Indiana measure up to where other places you've lived?
It's been great. So for me personally, I grew up in Michigan, so I'm closer to family. What I love about the area is that folks are real serious about sports and they know sports, but great schools and just great people, great community. It's been wonderful.
You, as we said, make a big decision right off the bat here in deciding to go in a different direction with your men's basketball program. So take us through that process and ultimately ending up with the guy you've got in the seat now.
Definitely, yeah. So we have a strong tradition in basketball, and, it's very important for our athletic department. It's very important for our university because for us, our role is to really tell the story of the university, and basketball is a big platform for that. And so we have to have a healthy program. And so we did the assessment. What I would say is, at the end of the day, it's about where we're going in the future and building up excitement. We want folks to be proud and excited about where the program is going. So we made some difficult decisions, and they were informed by data. They were informed by just kind of that assessment. And I'm excited about where we're going. I mean, when you think about the new direction, you think about Coach Roger Powell. I mean, you had him on here earlier. He checks all the boxes from a basketball standpoint, right? So national champion as a student athlete. He's coached in the national championship games as a coach. He was here, so he knows the community. He knows the environment. But it's about his ministry, and it's bigger than basketball for him. And so it's a perfect fit. Our fans are really excited about where we're going. And so we're, it's one of those things where we have to have a healthy program, and we're committed to it.
When you think about an athletic program and when you're running it and the coaches are running their teams, academics is really important. We want to have high team GPAs. We want to have all these honors that go with it. But from the outside perspective, right, I mean, people, like you said, they're smart, and they're like, yeah, okay, we love that kind of stuff. But what brings people to the games, what puts them in the seats, and what brings that attention when the games are on TV is what? The W's, right?
Yeah.
Some wins. So when you look at that, how do you guys balance the idea of all that other stuff that's so super important with the idea that, hey, ultimately we got to win some games, right?
Yeah. So we're focused on two things in our athletic department. One is our student athletes flourishing.
Yeah.
And so that's holistic development. That's the academic piece. Winning is a part of that experience in terms of them flourishing. They have strong athletic identities. We want them to win. And we also want to be great ambassadors for the university. And so when we win, it's all the things that come with it. We bring in revenue. So that's more opportunities for our student athletes. That's more support and resources for our student athletes. Our student athletes have a great experience. We're able to do more things with the university and promote our university story. So having successful programs are a part of it. Our student athletes flourishing, though, is at the core of what we're focused on.
Let's finish on this. Short-term, long-term goals for yourself and for the entire athletic department.
So short term, we want to make sure that we're maximizing our potential, and that's maximizing our rosters in terms of competitive performance, but that's also maximizing our coaches' experiences, our student athlete experiences. Long term, we want to build. And long term, we want to be able to say when we recruit student athletes, you're going to win a conference championship, you're going to compete at a national level, but you're going to get a great education. I mean, when you think about Valparaiso University and our academic programs, combining the athletic success plus the great academic programs, going out into society, being leaders, it's just a great experience. And so that's what we're doing long term. We've had success doing that in the past. We're going to get back to it, and we're going to go further. So we're excited.
Awesome. Dr. Small, thank you so much.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for all that you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks to all the coaches who came out today and made it an enjoyable, quick hour. I was a little bit behind schedule, but we got it all. We got it all in. Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who joined us today and listened. This has been the Valpo Athletics Coaches Show. Don't forget, join everybody out at Zao Island a little bit later today, if you can, 5:30 p.m. The bus tour will take them there for all of our coaches. I'm Sam Michael. Have a great rest of your day.